Hey y'all, welcome back to Weekly Hyperfixations. I'm Riot. You may notice different locale. I'm merely house sitting. It'll only be for this week. So fear not, though I do apologize if the lighting isn't super good. I did not bring my very big standing lights with me. And all we got really going is a big light right here and then a lamp all the way over there. So, that's what we're working with. All right, let's see. We have a lot of surface level stuff, not really hyperfixations per se, on the docket this week. Up until the pyramid, really. Because lo and behold, when I'm house sitting here, there's so many other things to do that I don't hardly ever look at social media while I'm here. So, with that, what am I gonna start with? Okay, yeah. I believe this was last night or the night before. The Dodgers game opened with a first pitch by V from BTS, or Taehyung. If you want to get specific, V being stage name. And honestly, he threw a really good pitch. Like, the way he threw it, I can tell that he has definitely at least tried playing baseball before or softball or something. Because it was really good. Perfect, straight down the line. The catcher didn't even really have to move that much. So impeccable aim, I guess. It was really cool though. And the Dodgers did end up winning that game 7-0, which is really cool. Baseball's like one of the few sports that I am really interested in, so that was really fun. Okay, let's see. Some good news across the board. The quote unquote alligator Alcatraz, of whom I speak of with a not Alcatraz, but a different, more poignant name that I will not say here so that I don't get ganked, really. Within 60 days of its operation has already closed. Thank God. And I can't remember the name of the tribe, but one of the local native tribes is how that got shut down. So thank God for that. You know what I mean? I think this one is also not quite whimsical, but definitely fun. And it also shows the nature of a lot of people who work there. Vanity Fair supposedly was considering featuring First Lady Melania on the cover. Over half their staff said, "I will simply walk out the door if you do that." A large portion of the staff will leave if they do that. So Vanity Fair will either be smart and not do it and align with, the good of the people, or become subservient and lose half of their staff. So I'm really hoping that they shape up, and if they don't, I really hope that it turns into a hefty boycott. Let's see, what else? Really cool, and I did not see it until today, so I'm wondering if news of it came out today or if my feed was just a little slow on it. But writer Alex, I don't know if he's a director, but he is a writer. Alex Garland made a 150-page script draft for an Elden Ring live action movie. And he flew to Japan to get it read and approved by Miyazaki, and Miyazaki did approve of it. So I don't know if that means that production is going to be soon, or if he has to get it picked up by a production company. But the fact that the creator of the game approved it is huge. So big hopes on that. It's the same amount of trust I put in Ichiro Oda when he approved of the One Piece live action and how he handpicked cast members. That same level of trust. If Miyazaki thinks the script is good enough for someone to make a movie, I am trusting that the script at least is good. Of course, that's all we have at the moment, so you know. But I thought that was really interesting because it kind of feels out of nowhere. Like, I feel like I would have heard someone talk about a movie, like something like that. I don't know. Also, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that I'm like stuttering a whole bunch today. Am I gonna edit it out? Probably not. My apologies. My brain is having more trouble focusing because I'm in a different place than usual, so the ADHD do be killer. Chris Columbus, the guy who originally directed the Harry Potter films, because, you know, Rowling is trying to reboot it with a whole new cast. But Chris Columbus, the original director, saw pictures of, you know, like some people, there were some behind the scenes photos that came out, and he commented on it and was like, this seems pointless. That's the exact same costume design we used. What is the point? Because also they're calling it a reboot. Usually you get updated designs for things like that, or at least tweaked designs. So it looks like, even though they're calling it a reboot, they're trying to make a remake, which is very different. But I completely agree with him, aside from the fact that Rowling herself is a deplorable piece of shit, and that supporting her financially, or any of her works financially in any way, shape, or form, is literally giving money to remove trans people from the earth, which is fucking disgusting. Okay, it's deplorable. Even putting that aside, I still agree with the comment, because what is the point of rebooting if, like, here's the thing, you have to hire a costume designer, but you're not redesigning the costumes. You're just like, just draw for me what we had before and we'll say you designed it. That seems very sketchy in and of itself. And a lot of work goes into costume design. So hiring someone literally just to have their name be put in the credits and not actually having them do any work is also deplorable, because you're literally just using a person as a vessel to further your evil deeds. Like, she's getting to the point in which it's like a comical supervillain type of ridiculous. Hey, is that mold getting any worse? I hope so. You know what I mean? Because why? Saying that any human does not have the right to be on Earth in anywhere, any shape, any form is deplorable. So, ooh, on the note of earlier talking about Taehyung from BTS, after that game, they have now all flown into Korea and are now working on their reunited comeback album. That's what I will call it. because they've all been out of service, or they've all been out doing their compulsory service. So now that they've come back, they're just now getting to the point where they can all be in the studio. So very exciting for a lot of people I know, because that is technically the previous generation of K-pop. So, I don't want to talk about this, so I'm going to get it out of the way. Taylor Swift is engaged. Whatever. I think, first of all, worst caption in the history of captions. The caption was your English teacher and your English teacher and your gym teacher are getting married. Why the fuck is that your caption? I'm assuming that that might somehow be a spoiler for something. I don't know. I don't really care to find out. Her new album is coming out, I don't know, in a month or two. You can tell what my opinion is about that by how super excited I sound. I think she's been making a lot of K-pop fans angry, like residually over time, because, you know, there's like 7 different versions of this album that's going to come out. Some of her promotional social media accounts have a logo that looks exactly like a K-pop comeback type of logo and all that jazz. So K-pop fans are slowly being like, hold on, she's kind of encroaching on our territory. And y'all know how some K-pop fans can get. I am a K-pop fan. I do not interact with any other K-pop fans on the internet. I do not want to. I will repost art if I like it, and I will repost silly things. Otherwise, I am not in people's comment sections. Why would I do that? You know how bad the internet's gotten? But also on top of this engagement, first of all, it gave American news outlets and some world news outlets that have heavy American influence, it gave them an excuse to not put Gaza and Palestine in their headlines that day. Not only that, but the person she's marrying is not someone that a person of that much power and influence should not be associating themselves with people who are of those values, especially since, like, you know, she has generally spoken out as like a queer ally, an ally to that community. But now she's aligning herself with people who could give a shit less if queer people even existed. In fact, a lot of people that are aligned that same way want us gone. So that in and of itself, terrible. On top of that, the last couple of people that she has been with have been like either like racist or any like varying levels of like, I don't know if there is a term for like, I'm losing my train of thought. I don't know if there's a term for like trying to be sneaky about things like xenophobia and racism and things like that. Because, and here's, not only have both of them been like not good people, but also just like not being openly sometimes have been openly racist or xenophobic or whatever. But also, what I mean by like doing that kind of thing subtly would be like supporting, like on the side, supporting organizations that have those values, but not openly talking about that organization. You know what I mean? Because you can donate, you as a person can donate to a horrible cause and not attach your name to it or not post about it. You know what I mean? But you can, if you put your name to it, you can find where that person has donated something. And just seeing all of the things, even just collaborations. If you're collaborating with a brand that, ooh, hold on. The camera is having a moment. One moment, please. Okay. My apologies. The camera was kind of glitching out. As I was saying though, not only have the past couple of people she's been with been racist or xenophobic, even in a subtle way, as like donating to a charity that later gets found out to have those xenophobic or racist values, anything like that, or just politically is deplorable, things like that. And then, you know, as someone with such huge power and influence, you know, we've seen the power of her fandom in during the era of peak COVID. The price of eggs was super high, and she, you know, in an interview, someone was like, just tell your fans to lower it and you'll do it. And she said that, and then they lowered the price of eggs by exactly 13%, which is, that number is a big deal for them or whatever. But for a person who has that much power, she's been awfully fucking silent about actual genuine issues that do not just affect America, but affect the world. And her not commenting on it and not feeling the need to comment on it does not only show us how extreme her privilege is, but also we know that if she wanted to, she would, which means she doesn't want to. It's the idea of, if there is a person of a particular terrible group at a table, and there are 11 other people at the table, but there's only one of that group. No, there's not. The whole table is of that group. Because if you are willingly not doing anything, willingly not saying anything, not doing anything about the situation, you are accomplice to that behavior. You are allowing that behavior. So, also, don't even get me started on that girl's carbon emissions. Like, it is so, you do not need to fly to different parts of the state on a private jet at all. I don't care that you have the money. You shouldn't be doing that. Even just like that one day, I think it was like the Super Bowl probably, where, you know, someone showed a map of where her plane had gone that day. And in that day alone, it was more carbon emissions than most people put out in their entire lifetime. Absolutely insane. So do I care that she's engaged? No, I don't. Especially with how big that fucking rock is. It is like gaudy. First of all, super dislike anything to do with diamonds. Literally my birthstone. Do not give a shit. But on top of that, having a ring with a very expensive gemstone in it will always feel gaudy to me, because what else is that than a show of wealth? You know what I mean? To the person, it has personal value, but to everyone else, it is literally just showing how much money you have. Not a good idea. Also, in this political climate, definitely not a good idea. Not in terms of rich people, but in terms of, despite all of the money that like she clearly has, she literally has something extremely expensive on her hand. Do you know how easy that, just like, you know what I mean? Just why would that be a good idea? Especially if it's something that's meant to be sentimental. I don't see why you should put such high value in it, because in a lot of places in this country in particular, that is literally a target. I don't understand. Anyways, I talked for a while about that. I need to stop talking about it. Unfortunately, back in 2019, or very, very late 2019, early 2020, I unfortunately, actually, no, it wasn't 2020. It was early 2021. For me specifically, early 2021. But unfortunately, I was a fan of a certain Minecraft SMP, you know the one. And you know, I don't really interact in that fandom space anymore. I do still follow people who were in that space, but that's because most of them have moved on to other fandoms, stuff like that. And I am a Tumblr person at heart, so I'm not gonna unfollow them unless they still talk about it like every day, because I don't care that much. But fun fact, good old Tommy Innit decided he was gonna make a new SMP, and it's called Born in the SMP. And the little, you know, picture he showed of like who he wants there and stuff like that had a picture of the Born in the USA Bruce Springsteen picture. You know what I mean? And dear God, dude, why? Oh, I get there's like a nostalgia factor and like missing doing that, but also a lot of shit has happened since then. And I feel like it would behoove you to want to distance yourself from that kind of content, considering how many people in those circles turned out to be terrible people, or rather were outed as terrible people. Bold move. I don't dislike it, but bold move. I don't think I'm going to watch it. I may watch a clip because reportedly he got Jay Schlatt on there, and Jay Schlatt word for word quoted something he said during the old DSMP. And that's crazy. Because that also shows that even though Schlatt was very adamant about not caring, he did definitely have a love for the game of Minecraft. And being able to quote yourself word for word like that is insane. I mean, I don't blame him. I'm a theater kid. Once you memorize a line, you memorize a line. Not all of your lines usually stick in your head, but good ones do, which means he thought that was a very good one because he remembers it still. But I just thought that was very silly. I don't know if I'll be bringing it up again. I may watch that clip of Schlatt doing that, and that will probably single-handedly determine whether or not I watch any of it. Though I will say Slimesicle was on the invite list for that, so if Charlie is in, then I'm way more likely to watch it, because out of the DSMP people, I mostly watch Rambo and Charlie. Also, they're close friends, so there's a lot of overlap there. But I just thought that 5 years later, really, from the start of it, 5 years later, it's really crazy to see a new project like that. I don't know how to feel about it yet. Jury's still out on that one. And now I get to talk about the only thing I've actually been fixating on this week. Lo and behold, it has taken me almost to the start of Critical Role Campaign 4 to get me to watch Critical Role Campaign 3. Which is really ridiculous. I remember when it started, I was nervous about watching it because I didn't know who Robbie Daymond was, which in retrospect is really funny. Also, I was in college at the time and I was having a lot of stress go on, so I didn't really have a lot of time to watch 3 hours of D&D every Thursday. So there's also that, but or I guess not every Thursday, because they did have breaks the last week of every month, but still. It's really funny to me in retrospect because I was like, I don't know who this Robbie guy is. I don't know you guy, you know what I mean? Literally felt like a toddler seeing a new person for the first time, like hiding behind the people that the toddler knows. You know what I mean? And now I'm watching it because Robbie's in it. So yes. It's also so good right away. Like, sometimes a campaign will have a bit of build up until something crazy happens. Literally episode 3. Insanity. And I'm like, oh, okay, we're doing this. All right. Buckle up. You know what I mean? So I'm very excited about Critical Role's previous campaign. What day is it? It is the end of August. If I watch at least one episode, no, I would have to watch at least 2 episodes or more every day of September, I would be caught up with all of campaign 3 before campaign 4 starts. It's not going to happen that way, but it's probably going to be 1 or 2 episodes a day, and then there'll be like, I don't know, what would that be? 40 more episodes, 50 more episodes. And then as I'm watching the new campaign, while I'm waiting for the next Thursday, I'll just watch more of the previous campaign. Because my work, God has cursed me for my hubris, and my work is never finished. That is a direct quote from Brian David Gilbert. Don't worry about it. The autism is shown real hard. D&D is a very strong hyperfixation for me. So latching onto a campaign that I can watch, and I don't have to be the person planning the campaign, and I don't have to be playing the campaign, very good for me. Unrelated, this past D&D session went very well, and we got through all of the material, including leveling everyone up to level 3, which was impeccable. I also had an idea for giving me a break from DMing, but I have yet to run it by my players. But I thought it might be an interesting idea to go through my campaign that I'm DMing up to level 5, and then going on a hiatus and having a smaller campaign or a series of one-shots in between. And then, so like maybe a year straight of this campaign-ish. Then 6 months to a year of a new campaign. And then when that's done, we come back to the old campaign. We left off at level 5. Boost everyone up 2 levels to level 7. All you have to think about in preparation for it is, what were you doing in those 2 years? Those 2 levels, 2 years. Okay. And then continuing. I thought that might be an interesting idea, but I've yet to run it by my players. I just thought it might be a good idea to give more people in the group who want to DM some experience, and also give myself a break because I do way too much. I make physical props out the wazoo for this campaign. Almost every session I'm making at least 1 prop, and if for a session, I'm not making a prop, it's because the next session I'm making like 3 or 4. So, like, I have a giant map that is the size of one of those foam poster boards. I am not kidding you. I am watercoloring it because my work is never finished. Anyways, pyramid time. I'm talking way too long. Okay. Here is the pyramid. First up on the whole bottom row of the pyramid is Critical Role Campaign 3. Okay. First up on the pyramid is Laudna. She's giving Other Mother real hard. I also really like her backstory because it intertwines very nicely with The Legend of Vox Machina. And I say the title of the show because that's more well known to people than just saying Vox Machina. Saying the full title helps. I really enjoy that, and I also really like her form of dread. She also inspired me to make a character that has a very early class split like Laudna does. 2 levels of one class, 1 level of a different class. Very good. Next up on the pyramid is Fern Calloway. Also an inspiration for that character that I made recently because they are both satyrs. Technically a faun. Fern is classified as a faun. My D&D Beyond Resources have it as a satyr because I have Mythic Odysseys of Theros. Goat people, regardless. I really like Fern because she very much, like, how Ashley plays the character very much feels like both sides of the mythos for these kinds of creatures, because in Greek mythology, a satyr is very parties all the time, very reckless, very brash, very loud, very trickery, that kind of thing. But in Roman mythology, satyr becomes faun, and a faun is a lot more shy, docile, woodland creature. Fern, on the outside, to, anyone she talks to that's not the immediate Bell's Hells, she seems and sounds very shy. She's a woodland creature. She looks very woodland creature. Green hair, flowers, flowy clothes, all of that. But she's actually very much like the Greek mythology satyr. She'll steal shit. She'll just do whatever the fuck she wants. She's great. I love Fern a lot. And then next up on the pyramid is Dorian Storm. Robbie Damon play a character that doesn't hate themselves challenge, actually. I fear. But genuinely, I don't have a huge appreciation for the bard class, because so often bards are seen like how Sam Riegel made Scanlan for Vox Machina, where it's very libido focused and very horny all the time and very loud, very trying over the top to be charismatic. So seeing a bard that doesn't do those things is really good. And I know there's quite an impactful backstory for Dorian, but just seeing a bard who's chill, who isn't being over the top all the time, is really nice, and I really like Dorian Storm. Also, I was thinking about getting a dice set from Critical Role, just because A, I really enjoy having dice. B, comes with a nice bag. They're really nice dice. They're not super expensive, but there's one for almost every character. There's a set for almost every character. And I was like, well, who am I gonna pick because like visually some of the other dice I like better, but I was like, I think I would rather have Dorian's dice, the blue dice. And I will say I did put Robbie, oh, hold on, sorry. I did put Robbie on the pyramid last week because I'm getting the vibe that with last week I talked about how Brennan Lee Mulligan and Matt Mercer were talking about just a fireside chat, answering a bunch of questions, and how Matt talked about how everyone really wanted to solidify Robbie as a part of the cast, which really reflects, for me, in retrospect, I think about how my reaction was to him being added, and I was very hesitant about it. And then seeing that literally more than half of the characters Robbie Damon has played are like very insecure seeming and very worried about finding their place, I'm like immediately like, oh, you need support. So my brain is like, yeah, I think that out of principle for wanting to contribute to the whole fandom, accepting him as a permanent cast member, I do want to contribute to that because it is very hard to enter such a well-known space as a new person. And that seems like a lot. You know what I mean? It very much gets heartstrings, but I also think that it's very interesting that I tend to latch on my favor of characters to characters who aren't sure of themselves or don't feel like they fit in, because due to presumably my autism, I don't get that feeling ever. I've had someone literally ask me, like, hey, checking in, I want to make sure you feel like you're welcome here, that kind of thing. And I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't I be? And then the person's like, oh, well, you don't talk a lot to other people in the group, and they don't talk to you as much because you're new. So I want to make sure that you aren't feeling left out. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm fine. So I genuinely think having autism vastly helps me, because I don't have that fear of being left out. And I don't know, and literally thinking about my personal backstory, if you will, there's no reason for me to not have that fear. So it must be the autism. I don't know. I am getting so sidetracked. I'm so sorry. This is going to be a longer episode. I need to move on. Next up on the pyramid is someone that I don't even really watch their content. I'll be so real with you. I don't even watch their content, but I feel like it's important. Next up on the pyramid is Caleb Heron, because I can't remember. I think it was Rolling Stone that put out the article. It was like the 25 most influential influencers or whatever the fuck. And Caleb Heron was number 6 on this list of 25 people. And right below Caleb on the list was Jimmy Beast. And for some reason, this dude was like, why is this guy above me on the list? He doesn't have like a fourth of what I have in terms of subscribers and like influential power. Yeah, maybe because Caleb Heron like has a soul and like has a good personality and isn't just producing slop for people. Like, yeah, you have numbers, but this guy is funny and has a personality and like, what, like, you know what I mean? So not only is Caleb Heron on the pyramid because his fans flayed Jimmy's fans alive, basically, and Jimmy. But also, just the fact that Caleb got so high up in this list, despite being a white, like even despite being a white guy, you know what I mean? That list and having Caleb higher up on the list than someone as literally, in terms of numbers, as big as Jimmy, it shows that the people who made that list, first of all, have a fucking soul in their body. I am swearing a lot this episode. My apologies. But like, it really shows how much quality Caleb puts into his content and that there is a real passion behind it, because regardless of numbers, he is still considered more influential. And that's really important. So that's why he is on the pyramid. Next up on the pyramid is V, aka Taehyung from BTS. Literally just because I forget sometimes that people who are K-pop stars had like hobbies before doing K-pop. And not even just that, but like it's really often that because becoming an idol becomes their entire life, people forget that they like went to school and stuff like that, you know what I mean? So just the shock that the armies, which is what BTS fans are called, just the amount of shock that armies are having over how good that first pitch that he did was, that he threw, is a little funny to me, but I enjoy it. Also, I'm very biased because baseball. And then top of the pyramid this week, and she's been on the pyramid multiple times the past couple weeks, is Chapel Roan. This time we've got the I believe it's the UK and Ireland performances. We've got the dragon looking outfit. Okay. We have the vampire looking outfit. And then we have the outfit that I've seen many people put into the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney format because she's pointing. I don't know what I would call that outfit, but it's the one that has the hands belt on it. She's been cooking every single time. And then this most recent one, Edinburgh, we have Jester Chapel Roan. Big fan, thank you very much. Absolutely stunning costuming every single time. Every single show that Chapel Roan has had in Europe has like stellar, like beautiful art pieces as her attire for the concerts. Impeccable, thank you. Absolutely impeccable. And that's why Chapel's on the pyramid. Plain and simple. I'm trying to cut it a little short because I've been talking for so long. This will be a longer episode regardless. But I've gotten through everything. Also, fun fact, if I hadn't put any Critical Role characters on the pyramid, we would have had the original Starwalker again. He's my little buddy and I love him. I want a plushie of him real bad. But anyways, that'll be all for this week. I will be in our usual background next week. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all next week. Same time, same place. Hopefully I will pay a bit more attention to things I like, I guess. Didn't really pay attention to the media that much this past week, so I had to do a lot of last minute research for this episode, which is unfortunate, and I apologize because that does lower the quality. But also at the same time, it's been really nice because I have not been chronically I'm not considered chronically online, but I am online a lot. So having a whole week where I don't have to be is really good, and I like it a lot. But regardless, like I said, I'll see y'all same time, same place next week. Thank you all for watching. If you'd like notifications, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell. I recommend hitting the all button on the bell because I only post a video once a week, so I'm not going to clutter your notifications. And honestly, the personalized notification button kind of doesn't work for me. And I'm noticing that it's a consistent problem where hitting the personalized notification bell, I won't get notifications in my notification menu for things. So it's a little long. But anyways, I hope y'all have a good rest of your week and a good week next week. And I'll see you then. Bye, y'all.